Well, I'm not a smoker of weed.
Okay.
Is that what they call it?
You're so square.
I just didn't grow up smoking this stuff like some people.
Yeah.
Did you? Well,
We're talking about you right now. We're talking about you right now.
I just never have really gotten into hard drugs.
Okay, but we're not asking you.
Not the hard drugs. We're actually talking about weed.
Soft drugs.
Right, the soft,
No,
soft
I don't.
drugs.
We're not asking
I'm okay with. Well, here's the deal. I'm okay with us voting about it.
So political.
So,
I think it's important that we vote.
Don't fall off from riding that fence.
I won't.
Bert, I never knew that you were that person that really...
No, I would. It doesn't matter to me. I think we should vote on it, and people want it. We get it if we don't.
Okay.
But I think there's some good things about it,
Yeah.
even though I'm not a partaker
Right.
of the weed.
All right, I'll tell you what. But before you list anything good, list the bad. What are the bad?
Well, the bad thing I would say are, I always say the children, and one of those things.
What about them?
I don't know. I throw it out there, people just jump on it, I have to really go in detail. I just have to say the children, and that's it. People should figure that part out.
This is a very serious topic, I can tell. Eric is all about
Are you?
this topic.
Oh,
yeah.
He's got strong opinions, and
Yeah.
we clearly don't. So maybe you stop
I just
right now.
I just think that if it's okay, I don't think people should be sent to jail for smoking pot. I really don't. I think there are a lot of people who have gone to prison whose lives have been lost because
Of smoking it?
of smoking
Or
and we
selling it?
criminalize. Well, both. I think if we are going to do it, make it legal, put some restrictions on it, tax it, and whatever. Because more people have died of drunk driving than smoking pot.
How do you know that?
I heard it. Wikipedia. I'm
You know,
sure
it
the
has to
history
be
of pot.
difficult because I do actually hear that argument a
Yeah.
lot, but I've never seen the actual statistics or
You don't have
even
to.
known anybody that has. I mean, because the people they're pulling over for drunken driving, are they actually testing their blood for THC? I mean, so
Exactly.
you don't really know in terms of the statistics I don't know if any accuracy.
But I can still say that.
You can and sound like you don't.
I really know.
Anything.
Well, think about the history of weed and the history of smoking. Smoking pot.
You're talking about smoking tobacco. You're talking about tobacco, and are you looking at those two?
No, I'm looking at just weed,
Okay.
just pot stuff.
Okay.
So, the only thing I would say is that if we regulate it, if we tax it, and have get some good products, I think that would be good. Like maybe Pol Pot would be a brand we can bring out.
Eric, you brought it up, so
I know,
I'm sure. No, and I know you didn't expect it to go here, so
Where is it going? Going.
to pot.
Yes, exactly.
Well, we take these hard news topics and we just totally don't care.
I would just love to see how it even operates in Washington or Colorado before I sit here and say, yay, wonderful. I would just love to see if there's a difference with regulated versus black market.
Right.
Just all the things that go along with that. Even in Northern California, where they have shops dedicated to it,
Right.
I would just love to see how that would actually fly before instituting it in Florida. If it's to our advantage to do exactly what they're doing in some of those states,
Right.
something a little better, something a little, for lack of a better description, I guess, curtailed. I mean, I don't know, but. I would love to be part of an appointed group to take a junket. To go on a junket to these states to find out. Yeah, exactly. Like a 6-month excursion. Check it out, try it out to see if it's feasible. See if we can adopt it. So, yeah.
Here's your press conference. Yeah, New York Times. What you got there, buddy?
I can't talk when I'm inhaling, when I'm holding it.
You gotta hold that thing,
Exactly.
you gotta
Yeah.
hold.
Post.
Exactly.
Just a second. Okay.
I'll text it. But I don't know. I just
It would be interesting, I
Yeah.
think, to compare the trend. I mean, when there was prohibition, and we were talking about
Agreed.
alcohol, and to see once that was no longer, and that alcohol was legal,
Yeah.
and what, I mean, because I'm sure that there's that point, I mean, when it becomes legal, that you basically, there's overconsumption and overuse, and you probably would see a lot of the deleterious effects then.
Yeah.
And then there must be a leveling off. And then once you get to that point, you can really see, okay, how is it that it's really being managed? How are people managing it? What kind of effects are there? Effects on increased rates of driving high, what would you call it? It's not drunk driving, it's...
Driving drunk?
No, if you're gonna, with weed.
Under the influence.
Under the influence of drugs.
Yes.
There has to be a better word. We should come up with a better
I
word.
like
Driving...
Driving potty?
Driving under cannabis. Driving under...
Under the influence of cannabis?
Well, you don't
It has
have
to
to
be catchy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, drunk driving, you have that alliteration.
High drive.
High drive.
Driving high?
Overdrive. No, there has to be something
Driving
good.
high would be DH. Driving
Yeah,
high.
that's not catchy.
Make one for...
That's not sexy at all.
Well,
That's it's gotta be-
well, they got, that's true. It's going to bring up a whole different terminology of driving under the influence of alcohol, of
versus-
pot, weed, Mary Jane,
Driving on pot experience.
Let's see, driving on pot.
Oh,
Dope.
look at dope. I was dope.
Man, what happened? What was the charge? You got the dope going.
That's totally sexy. That's too sexy. Now everyone's gonna go dope.
Dope.
Yeah.
What are you here
So now
for?
we
Dope?
Yeah. I don't know.
Driving, what was that? Driving?
But you knew what you were doing when you were coming up
Driving
with that
on,
Exactly.
what is it?
Exactly.
I kind of like that. Kind of dope it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, driving high. I like driving high, but I do like the dope thing. Actually, sounds pretty good.
And the studies they have done is looking how people respond when they are under the influence of THC versus alcohol. And with alcohol, your reflexes, I know, they're slowed, so you don't react as quickly. And
Exactly.
And in fact, where you tend to drive faster and speed when you're drunk, you tend to go slower when you're high. And while there are risks if you're on the highway when it's 70 miles per hour and you're going 25, just ask Justin Bieber. I mean,
We'll talk about him later.
We'll talk about him
Bieber.
later. But so you can look at those, but that doesn't mean that that's any more advantageous to be driving
Slow?
high versus
But you're slower. I mean, you won't get a ticket for speeding.
right. But I wonder what other kind of effects there are, behind the wheel specifically.
I remember I went to Sweden one time, and I went to first, and forget, I was there.
Forget how we got there. That's a
It was
whole
a play.
different show.
It's a whole new show of that one. But then I went to Amsterdam.
Of course you did.
There, now there's a story.
And boy, Amsterdam, the things I can tell you about old Amsterdam. And I went to this village, and there was a village somewhere in Amsterdam, I think it was whatever, but the deal was that this community, and they smoked. There was this whole legalized smoking. I talked to this guy who had been smoking for years.
Right.
And you can tell he had been smoking for years.
Really? The effects on the brain cells.
Oh, it was just amazing. He's like, yeah, man, we can smoke as much as we want to. And he was just, it was amazing to watch the impact. But it took him years and years to actually get that.
Now, is it because he was high when he was talking, or do you think that
Great
really it
question.
was...
I think over
brain
the
cells, right?
years you could see that.
Yeah, they're
but
affected.
some people say pot is a gateway to other drugs, and they use that argument.
Yeah. I don't know if that's true or not. And maybe, if there's somebody who has the propensity to become an addict in some way, they're going to, whether it's alcohol, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's drugs, whether it's sex. That they're going to, they have that addictive personality.
I agree.
So I'm not sure that somebody who smokes pot recreationally is somebody who's necessarily at risk
to do that.
becoming
But it's interesting.
and lead to other drugs.
You have these arguments, and they're not substantiated. They're just thrown out there.
Right.
Like more people have died from drunk driving than smoking pot. But I kind of believe that.
This is coming from somebody who goes to Wikipedia
Let me check that.
for everything.
Not everything,
The
just the
facts,
major
right.
stuff. And that. Bieber.
But I'm like you, Beaver.
You're going Bieber.
But-
You just are jumping from pot to Bieber. I actually thought it was beaver, but it's Bieber, right?
It is
Go on.
Bieber,
You were
not
saying.
Bieber. But it is interesting that you're just going to play the wait and see game, which I
Yeah.
think is, we're all kind of watching
Yeah.
and seeing what's happening over there. It's interesting because there were the stores that were opening up and, the storefronts and selling pot, and they found they couldn't because, of course, the federal banks are the ones that, there's no federal legislation that pot is legal. So you have these places and states that are opening their doors up but can't get the funding because, the banks aren't backing them. But that's changed. I think they actually this past week have said they're
big
not
one?
going to touch.
Was it
if
the big banks?
The big bank, the federal. We're talking at the
big
federal
banks,
level, right?
But the smaller community banks,
Yes, except
they would do it.
yes, and you know what was happening?
What?
They were getting complaints because the money was smelling and reeking from the weed. So they asked them to actually, which is funny, launder it. No, it was for breathing. It was for
breeze the
breathing.
weed?
For breeze the weed. No, the money of the weed. So it didn't smell like pot.
Well, I'm wondering, speaking of pot and smell,
Right.
I'm wondering if they could take pot and maybe add some different flavors to it, like bubblegum or peppermint,
Where
and
have
those
you
types
been?
of things.
What does he say? Where is he saying?
Yeah, where have you been?
This is
Right.
okay.
Yes.
Look up hookahs.
Yes.
Because you
Yes.
may
What is it
get
called?
some good information there.
HOOK.
I just sent me Wikipedia. Get my Wikipedia.
This is all about educating
H what?
Bert, I think.
H what?
HOOKA.
Y'all know this stuff, right? Oh my gosh.
I hear things.
I got Hooker over there. Rugby union. Don't know what the
So, hookah.
hookah. I guess that's
AH.
that A really does help.
The difference between the AH and the ER.
Bert is looking for hookers on Wikipedia.
Well, at least I got the history of hookahs. Thank you, Wikipedia. Okay, hookah.
So hookah,
So you
right.
guys have known about these things.
You've heard about it, I'm sure.
Yes.
I've
I have
heard
never. You have?
something
Have
about
you ever been to an Indian restaurant?
Ah, this is a. It's like a little device. What is it?
It kind of
for?
looks like a bong, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
If you,
So these are different flavors, or this is where you
Yeah.
get the flavor.
Yes, they
So you
do.
can have
They
like.
flavor
Yeah.
them.
Okay, see, I'm just so behind on
you,
this
you
dope
are
stuff.
playing square very
I've
well.
never heard of
Really? You
hookah.
really haven't?
We just didn't grow up in a pot household like you guys.
No, it's not even pot.
Drugs
It
weren't
can't be
allowed
pot
at my
because
house.
that's not legal. So
This is not legal?
Not pot.
Oh,
No,
it's saying
hookahs are legal.
Hookahs. Which one? Which
Hookah, not hookers.
In that
hookah.
state,
No, he's hoping
Nevada.
that you said hookers.
Damn, gotta get on that one.
Exactly.
I
Run
didn't
out
know
of
that.
here.
We just didn't have those where I was growing up.
Hookers or hookers? Which one?
None
Which
of
one did
those. I never went to the other side of town to see the hookahs. I guess
I
that's
think-
kind of a hip hop
So
phrase
you have
now.
this program so you can become
That's a
more
hookah too, isn't it?
educated and
That's a small hookah.
brought up to speed, no pun intended, on
What?
the things that are happening in the world.
You know, I'm enlightened
You-
by this. I never even thought about these things. Well, now that
We should plan our next outing.
I like
We should
that.
maybe
maybe
go
like a little what you call those things where they take kids field trips.
field trips, right? Those kids take kids. Yes, field trips. Oh, but then, and here's the problem: the children are involved. If are children coming?
No, just
okay,
us.
Okay, just
Isn't
us.
it?
That's good.
It's a grown-up trip in the fields.
There are several here in Tallahassee.
There are?
Yes.
Okay, well now, see, this is looking not that bad. These people don't look bad with the hookahs. This looks pretty cool. They're building one too, woodworkers from
Oh, look,
Damascus.
we got a text from one of our viewers.
What does it say?
It says that,
More
Bert,
hookahs?
I'll hook you up. There. Call me at, I probably shouldn't say the number.
Is it an 800 number?
It is a 900 number, actually.
Do they still charge for those? Are
Yeah.
they free even with a
Actually,
unlimited phone?
I think they still charge for those, yes.
Is it one fee, or is that
One fee? That's kinky.
one fee? Because back in the old days,
No,
you
it's
didn't
a
have
per
unlimited
minute
text.
charge. No,
Even if you
it's
have a
per minute.
data plan that
Yeah.
allows you to have unlimited data,
Yeah.
you still would be charged for that.
Oh,
Interesting.
for those.
Yeah, like if you called one and